The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative. On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Today is happening on your watch. Do you take any responsibility for what's happening? And what is the justification for not holding votes in your chamber this week and potentially yours this weekend when there are some bipartisan conversations happening in the Senate? Why not just stay here and work this out?
I'll give you my quick answer. I'll yield to the leader, but my quick answer is very simple. The House did its job. The House sent a bipartisan, very simple, very conventional 24-page continuous resolution to keep the lights on. And we sent it over, we passed it, and it's been rejected by the Senate. So the House will come back into session and do its work as soon as Chuck Schumer allows us to reopen the government. That's plain and simple. And why? Because Chuck Schumer, who leads the Democrats, is terrified that he's not going to win back his Senate seat. He's afraid that the Marxist far-left corner of his base is going to challenge him in New York. Maybe many of you have noticed New York is probably going to elect a Marxist for mayor. He's terrified by that development. Chuck Schumer is a far-left progressive politician, but he's not far enough left for this base. And so he's got to show a fight against the president. He's got to show that he's fighting Republicans. And because they're playing political games, and they're not doing what he himself said passionately as recently as 6 months ago that must be done, that you passed a standard bipartisan CR. Because he needs political cover, he is dragging the American people through this.
Welcome, my friends, to the I Can't Believe, yes, it is already Friday edition of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. Fastest hour in American media. Speaker Johnson, of course, and we are going to talk about the shutdown as it drags on. Looking forward, by the way, if you're here on Monday through Friday for Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour, I hope you join us on the Saturday Morning Vibe, starting early tomorrow at 7 a.m. Hopefully we'll catch up with Princess Di tomorrow. Can't wait to hear what she thinks of this entire news week. And America's Small Caffeinated Mom, Rhonda Schrock, will be around, and Lizzie Radabali, and all of you. So, and Saturdays we take calls, a lot of them, as many as we can squeeze in, because during the week, it's just so fast. Now, yes, a lot of I don't know whether a lot. There's shutdown news. Most of you already know. I mean, it's just, the shutdown's the shutdown. There's a great article today in TIPP's newsletter. That's, yes, and I have it in here. And somewhere, it's called, you call this a showdown? A shutdown? You call this a shutdown? Here it is. You call this a shutdown? By Issues and Insights Editorial Board, TIPP. And what it is we're being treated to a fuselage of stories about the horrors of government shutdown, but we invite readers, they say, to consider this. Roughly 2/3 of government spending will continue despite the shutdown. 2/3 of the government still spending money. In other words, there's absolutely no reason for Republicans to cave on Democrat demands that Medicaid benefits for illegals and Obamacare subsidies for higher income families be restored. The longer the federal government remains shut down, the more people will realize how meaningless it is, and the less leverage Democrats will have. First thing to understand is that 70% of what the federal government does is immune to shutdown. That's because 70% of what the government does is write checks to individuals, checks that go out no matter what. These are called direct payments for individuals, and this category alone will cost $4.8 trillion, roughly 66% of all federal spending and more than 15% of the nation's gross domestic product. And then it talks about how the money's spent. Social Security, money to pay bills of Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, veterans benefits, and the mountain of other entitlement programs that have consumed the federal government. None of it gets appropriated by Congress each year. It's all mandatory spending. He said, now consider the other things that won't be shut down. U.S. Postal Service, Medicare, Social Security payments, air traffic control, banks, courts, border security, disaster, and federal law enforcement agencies, including the FBI, the DEA, prison staff, Secret Service, Coast Guard, the military. Look at what might be closed. National parks, visitor centers, and tours of federal government buildings and the Smithsonian museums. Democrats claim that a shutdown is devastating to the economy as well, but that's only because they believe that government spending is an engine of economic growth. But the only real harm, aside from the fact that reveals the dysfunction of Congress, is that it usually ends up costing taxpayers in back pay, added administrative costs, etc., etc. Our advice to Republicans: stand your ground, then keep cutting spending. Brilliant. Now, I wasn't even going to do that first because I don't get beside myself. Most of the time I just am in myself, but this one really gets me. Have you heard what Mamdani wants to do to kindergartners? Ladies and gentlemen, this is about as dastardly, as ugly, and vicious as it gets. New York Times story. A hornet's nest. Mamdani's gifted education plan divides New Yorkers. I'm shocked that it's dividing people. It must only be dividing people that don't have kids, have never had kids, don't understand the realization of how things work with children. Some parents were distraught, fearing that bright students would be left bored and restless at their desk. Others questioned whether teachers can truly determine whether a 4-year-old is gifted, and rival candidates in the mayor's race pounce. The divided reactions across New York came after Zohran Mamdani, the Democrat frontrunner for mayor, said this week he plans to end the Children's Gifted and Talented program for kindergarten students in public schools if he's elected. Let me just ask you a question. Carlos, you don't have kids yet, probably not even thinking about it, probably hoping nothing happens and you all of a sudden are confronted with the idea of fatherhood. Why do you think that anybody, including this guy, wants to cut out the gifted program for kindergarten students and above, but for kindergartners? You have any idea? I can't hear you. I still can't hear you. Turn on your microphone.
To get money for the other free stuff he promised.
To get money for the other, nope, that's not it. Philip just walked out. I was going to ask Philip. Philip's busy. That's not it. The reason that Zohran Mamdani and other progressives want to get rid of gifted programs beginning in kindergarten is that they say gifted programs exacerbate inequality in school systems that are already deeply divided along lines of race and income. You see, Black and Latinos children are enrolled in gifted classes at far lower rates. They don't say than who, but I'll tell you who, than their overall presence in the public school system. Now, let me unpolitically correct this paragraph. Critics say the gifted program exacerbates inequality in the school system, deeply divided along lines of race and income. Blacks and Latino students are enrolled in gifted classes, but more white kids are listed in these programs, and liberals are not going to stand for that. How dare you? How dare you have white kids in gifted and talented classes when you don't have the same quota of black and brown kids? How dare you? So what Mamdani is going to do, what he's promising to do if he's elected mayor, is get rid of the program altogether, because they do not want a program where white kids have a higher rate in the gifted and learning kids. Besides, some of the progressives say, "What? Who can tell when a kid is gifted?" I'll tell you how you can tell when a kid is gifted. When you actually read to your children, and when you start teaching your children at an early age. In fact, I've known some 3-year-olds, including my great-nephew, who was reading and doing math when he was 3 years old and is a gifted child, beyond gifted. And you see, and he happens, by the way, not to be a white kid, but you see the problem here. We can't have white gifted kids who usually, by the way, and I don't know about this as a fact, but I'm saying, what makes a gifted kid? Usually it's because their parents are doing everything they can to begin teaching the child at a very early age. And these damn Democrats can't stand it because they don't want to have to admit what is really going on here, that certain parents are not taking the time with their children the way they should to teach them and to make sure that they become gifted and talented. So instead of dealing with the kids that are gifted and talented, these Democrats, like Zohran Mamdani, screw them. There will be no classes for the gifted kids. Let them just sit and start their school years being bored as hell because they already know everything that the kids that don't get any attention from home, they already know this stuff. And what are they going to do? They're going to act out, because guess what bored kids do? They act out. Or they're going to lose interest. And parents of gifted children, this is why you need vouchers. This is why you need school choice, so you can get your kids away from these racist, insane Democrats who want to punish your child in kindergarten. These people are insane. And they want to spread that insanity and punish your child if you have a gifted child. All because your child doesn't meet the skin color test. And the black kids and the brown kids, the Latino kids that are gifted, they're going to suffer. All the gifted kids, doesn't matter which color they are, going to suffer too, because these people are on their insane quest for some kind of I can't. Folks, I mean, this one really gets me. And this guy, of all people, Mr. Privilege. Yeah, we're celebrating Woody Guthrie. I'll tell you why when we get back. I'm just too disgusted right now. We'll be right back.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
All right.
Breaking news.
The entire court has arisen and texted me at the same time. I got it from Lady Bennett. I got it from Princess Diana. I got it from the Countess of Conspiracy. Hamas says that it will agree to release all Israeli hostages still held under the Trump Gaza plan. Dateline October 3rd. This from Reuters. Hamas said on Friday it had agreed to release all Israeli hostages, alive or dead, under the terms of U.S. President Donald Trump's Gaza proposal, and signaled readiness to immediately enter mediated negotiations to discuss the details. Donald Trump, a short while ago, said Sunday's their deadline. Better respond by saying, well, they didn't wait till Sunday, didn't wait a day. They said today, okay, we're in. Now, can Hamas be trusted? Should Hamas be trusted? But at least for the moment, they're saying, yes, we're in. They will release all of the Israeli hostages. And we shall see how all of this plays out over the weekend. I'll tell you, folks, that's really good news. This whole Mamdani thing, I mean, this is just, to me, it's just disgusting. What these people do to American children. This is your Democrat Party. They punish achievement, and they will punish achievement from the time your child is in kindergarten until the time your child is an adult and all the way through life. If they achieve, Democrats want to punish them. We'll be back. Don't go away.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Today, folks, in New York, P. Diddy has been going through sentencing hearing all day long. Daily Mail, Diddy fumbles as he speaks to public for first time in 13 months. Begs his mother's forgiveness through tears. Sean Diddy Combs fumbled as he took the stand at his sentencing today, addressing the public for the first time in 13 months. Diddy, 55, vowed to never put my hands on another person again. I don't know how you do that. So I've learned my lesson, as he begged the judge for mercy. The disgraced music mogul also apologized to his mother, begging her to forgive him. Mommy, I failed you as a son. I'm sorry. You taught me better, he said as he wept. You raised me better, boy. Hey, TJ, how do you think his future bunkmates in prison are going to react to the crying to mommy? New name? P. Diddle. We're not laughing. I'm not making fun of him, by the way, just so you know. He was convicted. This thing has been going all day. Diddy says he's sorry to Kessie Ventura. Diddy fumbles his words. Prosecution claims Diddy has not changed in rebuttal. Diddy prepares to speak. Nonprofit director hails benefits of Diddy hosting teaching events. Defense desperately references Domestic Violence Awareness Month in a plea for leniency. Defense dismisses pimp label before blaming drug addiction for Diddy's misconduct. Defense appears stressed at Diddy's hearing. Diddy is a savior who should be freed immediately to preach to America, court hears. Diddy was high for 24 years, lawyer reveals. Diddy's daughter begs judge not to let her sisters grow up fatherless. Can't they visit him? Okay. Diddy cries. Oh, he's crying again. Over Kim Porter's death as defense shares video in court. Anguished Diddy is double of iconic The Screen painting. They have him holding his head. It's just like in the Screen painting. There's illustrations from the courtroom, and it does kind of resemble that painting. Diddy's teen daughter begs for his relief so he can parent his toddler. Oh, boy. By the way, one of the Diddy ones came out there. This girl's breastises are almost all the way. Never mind. And then the others came out looking like they were on their way to some kind of fashion show or something with matching outfits. I look like the stage Okay, whatever. I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying, Diddy's daughter tells court how rapper promised to keep them safe after Kim Porter's death. Diddy's son tells court rapper taught him to treat women with respect. Justin Combs hails father as superhero while begging judge to give Diddy a second chance at life. Diddy burst into tears as he's been crying a lot today, as his children addressed the court. Diddy's lawyer cites menswear award that he got in a plea for leniency. Defense attorney cries as she hails Diddy's contributions to community. Defense says Combs did not profit off his crimes while arguing for lenient sentence. Diddy's children squirm as prosecutor details vile sex act against Cassie. Ooh. Prosecution accuses Diddy and defense of, this thing has been going on, I'm not even halfway down, with all the action from the courtroom today. Prosecutors won in jail, I think, for 11 years or longer, and its sentencing guidelines called for, I think, between 6 and 7 years, something like that. You know, plus he's got time served. I don't know. Prediction? Out in 3. Out in 5. They gonna make him do at least a nickel. Over-under is 5, okay? I'm not betting on it, and I'm not laughing about it either. I don't, I mean, they're saying he saw the light now. Diddy has seen the light. That's what his defense people are saying. Yes, the shutdown. We'll have time to deal with the shutdown tomorrow. I've got so many cuts. We got Hakeem Jeffries. We have others. But you know what we also have? We have tomorrow, we have 3 hours where there's some other news out here, but let's just do this. These reporters are ticked off. They're ticked off. They are so ticked off that Donald Trump has been trolling their heroes, the Democrats. Cut 7. Listen to this report, almost argumentative with Speaker Johnson.
And then the next minute say, they're just having fun and trolling people. This is a government shutdown. On one hand, you say this is very serious, that people's jobs are on the line. On the other hand, you say, this is just fun and games and they're trolling.
So the effects are very serious on real people, real Americans. We support federal employees who do a great job in all these different areas, but what they're trying to have fun with, trying to make light of, is to point out the absurdity of the Democrats' position. And they're using memes and all the, tools of social media to do that. Some people, find that entertaining. But at the end of the day, the decisions are hard ones. And I'm telling you, they're not taking any pleasure in that. Yes, Jake.
This reporter was just intent on arguing with him about the president trolling Hakeem Jeffries. You see, they've never seen anything like this. They've never seen a Republican that just follows their script and always gets skunked. And Donald Trump trolling. Now, the polling, by the way. The polling, according to Harry Enton, I pay the Harry Enton polls, the clips from him when they shock Democrats, but I'm not just going to be one-sided and just do that and ignore them. Cut 13. This is what Harry Enton is saying, his polling over there. And this guy's been coming up with some polls that have been unusual, and when he calls it like he sees it.
Who do Americans blame more?
Yeah.
They blame Republicans. The New York Times, by 7 points, they blame Republicans in Congress and Donald Trump. Marist, look at that. Blame Trump and Republicans by 12 points. How about Washington Post? By a 17-point margin. When you look at the data, what you're actually seeing is that more Americans are blaming Republicans than Democrats, which I think really goes against the conventional wisdom, because a lot of folks are saying, hey, Democrats are so divided. But at this particular point, Americans are placing the blame on the Republican shoulders, at least the plurality of them are.
All right, so looking at this, does this match up to what we see historically? Like, how is this different or the same?
Yeah, this is what I think is so notable here, is we can go back over time, and this is actually a pretty familiar story. What are we talking about here? Blame more at the start of shutdown. shutdowns. 95, 96, they blame the Republicans more by 16 points. 2013, blame the Republicans more by 10 points. 2018, 2019, blame the Republicans more by 14 points. And right now, on the average poll, you see that the American public are blaming Republicans more by 12 points than Democrats. So this actually lines up with what we've seen historically. When the government goes in the shutdown, at least in prior occasions, and in this one, what we see is that more Americans are likely to blame Republicans than Democrats, which again, it's why the polling right now doesn't exactly strike me as surprising, despite the fact that Democrats might be messy. Republicans are the ones who are getting more blame because that is what has happened, at least historically speaking.
And also because Democrats are like, look, they have all three branches of
about
government.
this poll. Enough. Look at we cited: Washington Post, New York Times, Marist. Forgive me for being blunt, and I don't mean this to be disparaging, because I am not an expert in the work that they do. I haven't looked at their methodology, to be totally honest with you. Haven't had time to dig it through on the New York Times polling, the Marist polling, or the Washington Post. I would just simply say I don't trust either one, any of them, to give me an accurate readout of what Republicans and Democrats really think. So I have a little bit of skepticism about this one. Very often, Inton is not using those as source material when he does his analysis. But look who he said: New York Times, Washington Post, and Marist. Call me skeptical. Just saying. Call me skeptical. Now, there are some other things on this shutdown thing. You want to hear the way that this being reported? Where is this one? I'm looking for this guy. Princess Diana last Saturday was with us. When she started beginning, this was before we were anywhere near the shutdown. We're still a few days away. And Princess Diana said to us, the guy to keep an eye on, she said, this guy is her favorite cabinet member, is Russ Vought. And she talked about Russ Vought. Now Russ Vought, nobody knew Russ Vought was unless you were paying super attention to members of the cabinet. And you say, oh, yeah, the budget guy. He has been elevated in the mainstream press from just the budget guy to practically, well, you'll hear it for yourself. This is cut 11. This is what one of the progressives on, well, that's not the one. But here we go. NBC News. It was Vaughn Hilliard was on NBC News, and listen to this reaction, cut 8, to Russ Vought.
The president put on a social media post a picture of Russ Vought and said all eyes are on Russ Vought today. And I don't want to oversimplify what is so very not simple with the government shutdown, but effectively you have an OMB director out of the White House who is effectively running the federal government and making massive decisions here. They could potentially cripple some of these agencies, which we should be clear, as he wrote in Project 2025, he has argued that some of these agencies are too big and have hurt Americans. And so from his vantage point, he has been empowered by the president to move forward with these firings. And then on top of that are the cuts, the budget cuts, that he has been very clear that he has the power to decide what projects get allotted money. And as Speaker Johnson said yesterday, it is a subjective decision, one to advance this administration's priorities. And just this morning, in a tweet, Russ Vought, he made clear that there is another project specifically in Chicago that is set to, at least for now, get withholding of funds, saying $2.1 billion in Chicago infrastructure projects, specifically the Red Line extension and the Red and Purple modernization project, have been put on hold to ensure funding is not flowing via race-based contracting. Yesterday, he threatened 2 infrastructure projects here in New York. He threatened 16 other Democratic-led states in green energy projects. And when we're talking about this Red Line extension in Chicago, I know most people don't live in Chicago, but for those that do, this is a 5.5-mile extension that had been talked about for decades, went through this contracting process, and is currently moving forward up until this moment here. And this was a line that was a rail line that was going into the far south side of Chicago, a largely minority, low-income population that has never been served by a rail line to give them access to the rest of Chicago. These are the types of projects that we are talking about this White House using the shutdown to halt funding for.
Yeah, and it's taxpayer funding. It's American money.
And it's been contracted and previously contracted.
there's so much there. He's running the federal government. No, he's not the president of the United States. It's the Trump administration, not the vote administration. And then this last little bit. Oh, that red line, for those of you not in Chicago, goes to the south side of Chicago, where, okay, the sentence, I believe, is in. Do we have it? You got to send it to me.
Breaking news.
See, Sean Diddy Combs sentenced to more than 4 years in prison after salacious trial. After salacious trial exposed the mogul's reign of terror. Sean Diddy Combs sentenced to more than 4 years in prison, solidifying the hip-hop icon's fall from grace. You abused them physically, emotionally, and psychologically, Judge Arun Subramanian told, I think that's his name, told Combs before heading down the sentence of 50. He got 50 months. Boy, can you imagine what 50 is going to do with a 50-month sentence?
Out in 3 times served.
Are you saying out in 3 with time served? I said he'd be sentenced mostly 5. He's going to get a nickel. He got almost a nickel. He got 50. He got 50 months. 50. I can't wait to hear what 50 Cent's reaction to this is going to be. Anyway. Yes. Oh, you know, it's Stevie Ray Vaughan's birthday today. I just want to say that. And Lindsey Buckingham. American singer-songwriter Fleetwood Mac. We got to go take a break. We'll be right back. James Golden Snerdley, fastest hour in American media, continues.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Rush Hour with James Golden, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Hey, white people. Yeah, especially middle-aged white people from my hometown. Not knowing who Bad Bunny isn't the flex that you think it is, okay? It's actually really embarrassing. You're embarrassing. It's giving last year when Kendrick Lamar was at the Super Bowl and everyone was like, I don't understand anything that he's saying. Haven't we learned anything? Stop being so... I'm going to let you guys fill in the blanks.
Yeah, I can't wait for the Super Bowl halftime so I can not watch it. Are you going to watch the Super Bowl halftime because Bad Bunny's going to be there?
James, a lot of women like Bad Bunny, so I probably will be watching the Super Bowl halftime.
Why are we playing Bowie? Because Stevie Ray Vaughan's birthday today, and this is Stevie Ray Vaughan playing on this track. He played on a lot of the Let's Dance album, and the guitar is so prominent. American musician, singer, songwriter, guitarist Stevie Ray Vaughan, front man for the Steve Ray Vaughan and Double Trouble. So he was one of the most influential guitar players of the 1980s. Of course, killed in a helicopter crash back in 1990. He was only 35 years old, Lynn. But boy, he still gets such high accolades. Stevie Ray Vaughan. Okay. Yes, my friends. This whole Bad Bunny thing, have you ever had, by the way, an iced apple?
What do you mean?
Iced apple. An iced apple.
No, I don't think so.
You haven't had one? Well, some people are about to get them now because Apple has dropped its first ice block on one of these tools that these apps. The Department of Justice talked to Apple, and apparently Apple said, okay. The DOJ demanded that Apple remove Ice Block app from their app store, and Apple has done it. It's one of these tracking apps that liberals have been using to track and dox ICE people. And so now when we could say that ice apples are, well, okay, not the best joke, but okay. There are Pete Hegseth, and we did not talk about this very much. Oh, you know what else we didn't talk about this week? I want to talk about it tomorrow. You know who passed away this week? Jane Goodall passed away. Gorillas in the Jizz and all that stuff. Oh, wait, yeah. Gorillas in the Mist. Gorillas in I'm sorry. Yeah. How embarrassing. But that's what I'd call the movie for years. Anyway, Gorillas in the Mist. And Jane Goodall, you talk about somebody that was just loved. I think I'm sure she had her critics, but her critics sure aren't speaking up because there aren't many of them. A lot of people are just speaking with love about what a lovely, wonderful human being she was. Her work with the chimps, the gorillas, and all of that. And she's going to be missed. We got to go, huh? May God bless. Protect each and every single one of you, your family, your loved one. Love and gratitude, my friends, for your being here with me, allowing me to be with you. God willing, we are back early in the morning. We're already prepping for it. So hopefully you'll be with us. Until the meantime, I bid you adieu. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. You can hear Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour weekdays at 4 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?